Before she could react, an invisible force lifted her into air. The sound of cracking bones echoed through the garden. One by one, every bone in her body began to break. She screamed in agony and begged for mercy. The women watched in horror as the flesh began melting from her body. Chunks of skin and muscle fell into the ground. A violent storm erupted around the garden. In Beijing, China, there was a boy and a girl who attended the same school. They cared deeply for each other and shared a strong bond. Both were highly ambitious and determined to build successful futures. So they devoted themselves to their studies. They constantly helped each other with schoolwork and spent so much time together that their friendship gradually blossomed in love. Before long, they became a couple. After graduating from high school, the boy was accepted into Nanjing University, while the girl enrolled at Peking University in Beijing. Despite the distance, they stayed in touch and kept their relationship alive. They dreamed of getting married after college, building a happy family, and raising children together. However, time and distance can change people. While living in Beijing, the girl met many different men. Some were wealthier, some more successful, some more intelligent, and others more attractive. Slowly, she began to lose interest in her boyfriend. Eventually, she decided to end the relationship and remain in Beijing. When she told her boyfriend that she wanted to break up, he was devastated. He called her repeatedly, begging her to reconsider, until she eventually stopped answering his calls altogether. Desperate to see her, he traveled from Nanjing to Beijing. But the girl showed him no sympathy. She made it clear that their relationship was over and that she was now in love with someone else. She told him to accept the breakup and return home. The boy loved her more than anything in the world. He tried everything he could to win her back, but nothing worked. Finally, she asked her to meet him one last time at an abandoned house on the outskirts of the city. Throughout their meeting, he pleaded with her. "I can't live without you," he said. "If I lose you, I have nothing left." Yet she remained cold and indifferent. In a moment of overwhelming despair, the boy looked into her eyes and said, "You may leave me behind today, but one day I will return. And when I do, you will finally understand what it feels like to be abandoned." The girl ignored his words. Then right in front of her, the boy slit his wrists. Blood poured on the floor as he collapsed. Because of the severe blood loss, he soon lost consciousness. The girl watched everything happen. She could have called for help. She could have alerted someone nearby. She could have saved his life. Instead, she turned around and walked out. She wanted no involvement and did not wish to deal with any trouble. For 7 days, the boy's unconscious body remained inside the abandoned house. People passing by eventually noticed a terrible smell coming from the building. Concerned, they contacted the police. When officers entered the house, they discovered the boy's decomposed body and removed it from the scene. The girl didn't even attend his funeral. Soon afterward, she moved in with her new boyfriend. Several months later, she became pregnant and eventually gave birth to a baby. Strangely, the child bore an uncanny resemblance to her deceased former boyfriend. Despite becoming a mother, she felt a very little emotional attachment to her son. She was obsessed with her career, money, social status, and the glamorous lifestyle she wanted for herself. As time passed, the responsibilities of motherhood became a burden. Taking care of a child interfered with her social life. Many men lost interest in her when they learned she had a son. Eventually, the man who had fathered the child abandoned her as well. He had only been using her. With no desire to raise the child herself, she decided to leave her son in the care of her mother. The boy's grandmother agreed, but only in one condition. At least once every month you must come to visit your son. The women agreed. Years passed, the child grew older, but he was deprived of a mother's love. One evening, nearly 5 years later, the woman visited her mother's house. Her plan was simple: stay for about an hour, then return to Beijing to spend the rest of the evening with her new boyfriend. She kept her child a secret from almost everyone she knew. When she arrived, she saw her son sitting alone in the garden. He was drawing strange symbols in the dirt. Something about his behavior seemed unusual. He barely responded when spoken to and appeared completely absorbed in his own world. As she approached, she noticed something alarming in his hand. It looked like a knife. Walking closer, she froze in horror. The child was cutting his own wrist. Then he calmly raised the bleeding arm to his mouth and began licking the blood. Terrified, the woman rushed forward to stop him. The little boy slowly lifted his head and stared directly into her eyes. That stare, it felt horribly familiar. She recognized it instantly. It was the same desperate, heartbroken look her former boyfriend had worn on that day he died. A look filled with longing, a look filled with betrayal, a look filled with unbearable loneliness. A fear gripped her heart. "Who are you?" she whispered. Suddenly the child's voice changed, became deeper, older. Not the voice of a little boy. The boy smiled. "Do you recognize me?" he asked. The woman stumbled backward. The child's eyes never left hers. Then he spoke again. "I am your punishment." Before she could react, an invisible force lifted her into air. The sound of cracking bones echoed through the garden. One by one, every bone in her body began to break. She screamed in agony and begged for mercy. She apologized, she cried, she pleaded for forgiveness. But the spirit showed none. The boy's soul had never found peace. She had trusted her with all his heart. Even as he lay dying, he believed she wouldn't leave him alone. But she had. She abandoned him to die. And now, after years of waiting, his spirit had finally returned for revenge. The woman watched in horror as the flesh began melting from her body. Chunks of skin and muscle fell into the ground. A violent storm erupted around the garden. Trees bent and twisted under powerful winds. The sky darkened, thunder roared. Within moments, the woman's life came to a horrifying end. All that remained on the ground were scattered bones and pieces of ruined body. The little boy collapsed unconscious onto the grass. He had no understanding of what had just happened. He did not know why his mother had suffered such a terrible fate. Then, from somewhere within the raging storm, a ghostly voice echoed through the darkness. "You may leave me behind today, but one day I will return, and when I do, you will finally understand what it feels like to be abandoned." And then the voice was gone. Only silence remained.